All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. I made a mistake. Those are bound to happen, but I wanted to cover that mistake without just putting a big thumbnail that said I was wrong, because I don't know if many people watch correction videos, but this is less of a correction video and more of a I was wrong about my previous determination. Let me tell you what I would suggest with that information going forward then. Okay, so we got 2 more days left, 2.5 days for this KYBER Lightspeed Token that you see here. It is, I'm not gonna go ahead and cover the entirety of what a Lightspeed Token is and all the other things about it. You can check my last video for that. The only thing that I was wrong about was what characters you can choose ultimately. And that's because the game was showing me a different selection of characters because I already have characters reliced up. That being said, the analysis that is in that video is all pretty much straightforward and correct in my opinion, beyond that. So how to engage with it, what they are, those things. So let's go ahead and take a look at the KYBER Lightspeed Token here. $15 depending on where you are, and it gets you a 7-star character, relic 5, ability to have tier 7, no Omicrons, no Zetas. Okay, and this only works for tanks that are in the certain requirements that they give. As you can see here, this is a much more paltry selection of characters. This is what I thought it was limited to. That is not correct. I didn't put together that. Why is it showing me all the crap tanks? That's because I don't have those tanks geared up, and the good tanks I do. So let's go ahead and look at the requirements again, which I said were kind of weird last time, but it turns out they weren't that weird, and they were all there for a reason. So it can't apply to a galactic legend, it can't apply to a journey guide character, it can't apply to a conquest character or a guild raid character, which we don't really have those anymore, but there's still a couple in there like General Kenobi, territory battle units, and Morgan Elspeth specifically. Such a weird call out, but okay. Yeah, Morgan Elspeth is the one that you can't do. Maybe she was close enough to that era that they didn't feel comfortable with it. I don't know. Because yeah, well, anyways, so this is not the selection of characters that we can make our determination based off. So we're gonna go ahead and go into my collection and look at the tanks, and we'll go through the selection of characters there. So a lot of these you can select with the KYBER Lightspeed Token. Now you can't pick these ones. These are Galactic Legends, Journey Guide, new character. It has to be in the legacy era, so anything that happened in the eras phase, if it's part of an era like the era of apprentices or the era of the cavalry or the era of Order 66, you can't do it. So no Temple Guard, no Scorch. Who else is disqualified because that Morgan Elspeth is specifically called out and excluded? Darth Malgus is a conquest unit, axe him out. And then I think that's just about it. Oh, Wrecker's the cavalry, X him out. And that's pretty much it, I think. Oh, Quiggled's a tank, apparently. So, X him out too. Okay, so with that being said, we'll go ahead and look through the characters to kind of determine what characters you would want to use. Now, a lot of these characters still are dismissed based on my previous analysis, because a lot of these characters like Mace Windu or Plo Koon, well, Plo Koon is a Galactic Legend requirement, but Mace Windu, Fives, Finn down here, it's not that they're not required for anything, because some of them are, but you only need 100 Chirotechs to get those geared up to relics, so it's not that difficult. And a lot of the characters like Finn, if we go ahead and look, you can get him from a variety of sources, right? You can get him from MK1, you can get him from the guild store, you can get him from Galactic War tokens, and then you can get him from Cantina if you really are desperate. Don't do that. Okay, so that's kind of why a lot of these characters, even though I wasn't seeing them on my list, are still disqualified, right? Stormtrooper Han. Yep, you could get it from Cantina Battle Store, right? And you get a bunch of shards from the Rebel Roundup all the time. So a lot of them are still disqualified, but there's some characters that are, I think, beneficial in a way, because they unlock something, they help you unlock something, and that thing that you're unlocking could potentially save you resources. You could get more resources, especially if you're in the early game. This applies more so than I think for middle or late game players, but definitely to middle game players too. And those resources could end up being of value to you. And also it could save you time in that twofold. One, it's going to save you farming time because you're going to be able to focus your farm on something else. Your resources are going to go towards something else, and you will not need to get this thing that you otherwise would have needed to get. Then it could also save you time depending on what team you're unlocking, because it might make like a territory battle planning easier, or it might make a grand arena matchup easier, right? So there's all these areas where it could save you time. So that's what is the qualifications sort of for the 5 characters that I'm going to go over. So the first one is, and this is highly recommended from the people in the comments below in the other videos, is Paz Vizsla. So Paz Vizsla is a tank. He is not from any of the journey guide, the conquest, territory battle, all that. And he is not from the eras phase. So he's a legacy character, demonstrated by this legacy era, right? Up in the top left corner. So then he qualifies for our little token here. Now you need him at relic 7 to get Bo-Katan Mandalore, right? So the token's only going to get us to relic 5. We'll need to go ahead and get him to relic 6, or relic 7 rather, in order for him to be usable to unlock Bo-Katan Mandalore, which I can't see here, right? Let's unsort by tanks, and then we can go ahead and go to Bo-Katan Mandalore. Where is she? Right here. Okay, so Bo-Katan Mandalore is the real reason that we'd be unlocking Paz, right? And we're expediting that farm so then we can focus on something else. Now, Bo-Katan Mandalore is highly useful because, especially in the early game, even at the later game, I have been able to get some defensive holds with her in Grand Arena when I was putting her on there, especially if they get any Datacron help. But she can also just barrel through a lot of things in the early game, which makes her a hugely valuable PvP character. Not to mention Paz just being a good tank, right? So this is why I would recommend expediting this farm, because she could really change your PvP dynamic, right? She could really provide a lot of value there in terms of PvP. More importantly than the PvP value she brings value in the territory battle. She is one of the characters that is needed to do the special mission on Tatooine, which would unlock Mandalore. Mandalore greatly helps new and middle game guilds by expediting the Kyrotech crunch, right? So if you can get up there and beeline it to Mandalore and then get the Mandalore star, get the reward crates, that's going to help your Kyrotechs a bunch. Plus that mission that unlocks Mandalore gives you it's a special mission, and it gives you guild event token 2 currency, get 2 currency, which also can be used for a number of things, but specifically Kyrotechs. So she unlocks a lot of things in this game, so the character that would help to unlock her, i.e. Paz Vizsla, is valuable. So Paz Vizsla is going to be my number 1 on this list for things to expedite. If you don't have it already, and you're working towards Bo-Katan Mandalore, go ahead and pick up Paz Vizsla, and then you could, get the extra relic levels. Unfortunately, he's needed at relic 7, so you're still going to have a little work to do, but you're going to have to get there anyway for Bo-Katan, so you might as well do it this way. Second one will be Chrysantin. Chrysantin is also a legacy character. Doesn't meet any of those conquest TB nonsense stuff. He's needed higher than relic 5. I think he's needed at relic 7 for Jabba the Hutt. So he's a galactic legend requirement, as we can see if we go over here in the journey guide and click on Jabba the Hutt. Chrysantin is needed at, he's only needed at relic 5. There you go. So you get him right at the relic level you needed. But going back over to the collection and looking at Chrysantin, he's a pretty good tank for Jabba. He's also a tank that can be used in some cases with Dr. Aphra, and he has an Omicron that can be a little bit sturdier. Mostly people do end up going through Jabba on Grand Arena and Territory Wars, but that's at the end game. In the earlier game, I think this could provide some trouble for people to get there. And he's one of those teams that often gets a Datacron that makes him a little bit harder to deal with. And even if he is somebody that can be defeated, he usually requires a good team to deal with him. So it ends up being a worthwhile investment. Now, Chrysantin's a big part of that team, but let's go ahead and look at Jabba and talk about Jabba just a little bit like we did with Bo-Katan. Now, Jabba has a mission in every single territory battle phase, which helps you get extra points. All of his missions are pretty straightforward, and Jabba can solo, I think, all of them. Basically, you just send him in with a bunch of bounty hunters, hit auto, or have a little bit strategy towards the end, and it could be like an auto basic and then throw the bombs, those type of things. But Jabba is pretty good at soloing a lot of those missions, so he's going to get you a lot of points in territory battle. More importantly than anything though, Jabba the Hutt also has a special event called Smuggler's Run 2, which gives you a ton of mod materials, which are going to, it's basically the best source of mod slicing materials in the game. This is one of the primary reasons everybody should be going for Jabba early and getting him as a GL. Not to mention his requirements kind of overlap with other characters. But yeah, so because Chrysanthemum unlocks Jabba, Chrysanthemum is my number 2 pick for expediting with the KYBER Lightspeed Token. Third one is going to be, I think it's kind of a little bit sort of a toss up here. But I'm going to go ahead and give it to, because all of these things are more late game teams, right? So Sith Empire Trooper he's not incredibly useful. He does do a good job in the roles that he does on Sith teams, but he is a requirement for Leviathan. Leviathan is a very steep, costly fleet, okay? And you need him at relic 7, so he is going to have to require a couple more relic levels to go ahead and get up there to the usability. But when you are farming Leviathan, you need so much signal data and so many relic mats. Let's go ahead and go look at Leviathan really quickly. Go in the journey guide, solo journeys, all the way down here. Leviathan just requires so much in terms of relic 9 characters and a lot of relic 7 characters. There you go, see Sith Empire Trooper right there. Leviathan is, it's tough to tell new players to farm this, and maybe you don't, but you gotta, the most important thing you can do in this game for crystal income is getting your fleet arena locked down. Being able to take first in arena is absolutely imperative to your crystal income. So that means that Leviathan is kind of absolutely imperative to securing your crystal income. Now, I know it's a lot of materials, I know it's a lot of things, but we're talking about people that are spending a little bit of money on this KYBER token, right? So maybe they are spending a little bit more to go ahead and get Leviathan early. In that case, you know, everything that you're getting with Sith Empire Trooper via this Lightspeed token is valuable to you because you need the requirement, you need the gear for all these other characters, you need the signal data for all these other characters. So anything that you can save or buy at a discount is going to be helpful in this farm. Therefore, Sith Empire Trooper is going to be something that you really want to get up to relic 5 easily. So that's why I have to recommend him pretty highly on the list, about midway through the list. And yeah, I don't know how much newer players can actually get to relic 9 with these characters. It's going to take quite a while. Mid-game players, I do recommend it just because it does help secure first in fleet arena, and it also makes sure sometimes you'll win if you put Leviathan on defense and your opponent can't get through it. Other times you're just going to be able to secure the victory with Leviathan. So Leviathan was like my last farm in the game. When I had everything else, I finally said, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do Leviathan. But I was in a much different situation. I already had profundity and I was able to take advantage of my shard. Most of my fleet shard is kind of dead. So for all of you out there that are just starting this game or have been starting this game for, you know, a couple years or something, you're going to be in a vastly different position, and this is why I recommend getting Leviathan and thus Sith Empire Trooper. Okay, going back over to my next on the list, we'll go ahead and look at the tank. Go ahead and go down. So this one is probably going to be Wrecker, and Wrecker is a Legacy era character. It's not Wrecker Mercenary. Don't get it confused with the new Bad Batch. This is the old Bad Batch Wrecker. I have him at Relic 7. You don't need him at Relic 7. The token will get you to Relic 5. And the reason that we are suggesting that you get Wrecker, even though Bad Batch is somewhat of a not great team in the early game, is that Lord Vader is a pretty formidable squad now with the new Empire clones. So assuming you're going that direction and you're moving towards Lord Vader, which is just a lot of people's favorite GL anyway, he is a requirement for Lord Vader. at Relic 5. And this is a lot of Chirotechs between all the other Bad Batch. So if you're going for Lord Vader regardless, you're going to be spending a lot of Chirotechs, you're going to be spending a lot of gear. And as one of the more costly GLs, you're going to be spending a lot of signal data. So in that regard, getting a little bit of an expedite on that is going to be incredibly helpful for finishing off that Lord Vader early. You get Lord Vader early, you get more GAC wins early, you get some value back in your account. And in a lot of cases, Wrecker can be good in the early phases of territory battles. And if you get them to Relic 7 with the other Bad Batch, that mission on Zepho, the special mission there, is kind of auto. The Clone Trooper special mission is pretty much auto with all the other Bad Batch. So for a lot of older people, we had a lot of the other clones in the 501st, and that was the way we kind of suffer through the Zepho special mission. But newer players that don't have those characters may look to Bad Batch as a much better step to take over the 501st. So that is number 4 on the list. Okay, and getting to the final character that I recommend for the Lightspeed tokens. This is a little bit of a questionable one. We're getting towards the end where maybe there's not as much value on the bone, but it is a requirement for a journey guide character. I'm all over the place. Go to tanks. And that is Gungan Phalanx. Gungan Phalanx is a legacy character, and he is not a galactic legend or a conquest character, a territory battle unit, all that. He's required at Relic 5, not Relic 7, for Jar Jar Binks. So if we go ahead and go over to the journey guide and talk about Jar Jar a little bit. Dun, dun, dun. And the Gungans are in a little bit of an interesting situation where you kind of just need all 5 of them to run the squad. There's not really any mix and match. You got to do it in 3s, but it becomes less valuable in 3s. So he's part of this team, and he's kind of irreplaceable in this team. So you need him to get Jar Jar. Without Phalanx, and thus without Jar Jar, all 3 of these other characters are pretty useless. So for that reason, he kind of makes the squad run. He's the tank, and he's required as part of the 5. So you will need him at Relic 5. Nothing more to do after the Lightspeed token in that regard. And let me see if I'm getting away without running his Zeta. I might have a Zeta. I think there's some Zetas on the team that you can avoid applying, and it's not going to hurt you all that much. But anyways, he helps unlock Jar Jar. That is the top 5 characters that I would recommend for the Lightspeed token, mostly because they help expedite character farms in the journey guide that you would already be doing normally. So that being said, go ahead and hit the like button if you got value out of this video. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more content and guides like this, and hit the notification bell so you know when it all goes live. I will talk to you all next time. Bye.